Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Holly, this is She Reads, and today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up with you. And I actually had a pretty good month this month. I'm actually very happy, very proud of myself because I managed to read 7 books this month, and that is huge for me. Like, before I started BookTube, sometimes I wasn't even getting through 1 book a month. So that really shows me how much BookTube has really helped get me to start reading a lot more. So I'm so thankful for that. And yeah, I'm just like really excited that I read that much. And also, a lot of that was on audiobook too. But I mean, even that I probably would have never tried if it wasn't for BookTube, because before I started BookTube, I had never read an audiobook. So I am now like immersed into the world of audiobooks. I love them and I think they're awesome. And like my son and I go walking every single day. So I just always pop in an audiobook, and it's just pop in an audiobook as if I'm like listening to a cassette. But you know what I mean. I always just like start listening to an audiobook and I am just flying through them that way. So I'm really excited about it. So let's just get right on into this wrap up, and I will let you guys know what I read first. So the first book that I finished was The Forbidden by F.R. Tallis, and I believe that I had started this one last month but did not finish it, so I put it on my wrap up for this month instead. This one I really loved. It was just really eerie and creepy, and I'm so happy that I read it. I got this one in a My Thrill Club box, and I'm very happy with it. I did a review on it. I didn't really do a spoiler section because I really wanted people to pick up this book, so I didn't really want to give too much away. But I did do a review on my channel, and I will link that down below if you guys want to learn more about it. But basically, I've talked so much about this book already, but basically, long story short, it's about a doctor that dies, goes to hell, comes back, gets brought back to life, and is like very different and brings something back with him that I don't want to get too much into or give away. So definitely check this one out. Definitely recommend it. The next book that I read was White Crow by Marcus Sedgwick, and I really like this one as well. I think I probably would give this one about a 4. And this is basically about a girl that moves to a really small town with her father. And it's like very eerie. It's like a really creepy small town. And it like tells the story between this young girl. And then it also tells the story of a priest like back in the 1600s. And they're both living in this small town. And basically what this priest does affects this girl today, and it's very eerie. Basically the priest tries to prove whether there is life after death. So he and this doctor go on this excursion to basically murder people but bring them back and see what they hear what they saw, if that makes sense. And this girl moves to this town and like just finds this creepy spot, and I don't want to give too much away about it, but I definitely would recommend this one as well. It was a pretty quick read. I read it in like a day and a half, and I mean, I have a baby, so I read it when he's napping and sleeping. So yeah, definitely give this one a check out if you are into like sort of like creepy sort of things. Like it's kind of like about trying to prove life after death, but it's like eerie. It's not like a Mitch Albom book where it's like, you know, the meaning of life and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's creepy. I enjoyed it. The next book that I read was The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, and I read this for a buddy reads with my friend Georgia, and we did an in-depth thorough review of this on my channel. I will link that down below as well. It was super fun. We're deciding that we're going to make that kind of a monthly thing or a bi-monthly thing that we're going to do, read a book and then get together and discuss it like that. It was quite a long video, but it was a lot of fun. I don't really have a lot of friends in my life that do a lot of reading, so when she said that she would be interested in doing this with me, I was like all over it. So it was a lot of fun, and I definitely would recommend this one. I think I gave it about a 3. You know, when I'm going into books, knowing that I'm going to be doing a review on them, I tend to grade them a little bit harsher than I would have if I weren't doing a review on them, if that makes sense. Like, I'm taking a look at it more critically than I would if I was just reading for pleasure, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I don't know if that's really a good thing or a bad thing about me, but I've definitely kind of noticed that about myself, that I'm just kind of like, you know, looking for more like things that don't make sense. And I don't know. I mean, this one is about fairy tales. It's about a girl that goes in search of her mother after she's been kidnapped. Her grandmother used to write all of these eerie fairy tales, and she kind of like basically gets drawn into that world while trying to find her mother who's been kidnapped. So I definitely still would check this one out. Like I said, I think I rated it about a 3, so I would check it out if you haven't already. It's quite a popular book. Lots of booktubers have read it and talked about it, so I'm sure this is not the first of you hearing it. The next book that I read was The Fast Metabolism Diet by Haley Pomeroy, and this one is actually one that I read on audiobook. I'm not sure if you guys have seen my video that I did on how reading helps me lose weight, but one of the tips that I had in there was to listen to audiobooks as I'm walking around with my son outside about health. So I go through quite a few books about like diet and exercise and health and different types of diets. I'm not necessarily like, I'm on a weight loss journey, but I'm not necessarily believing in diets, so to speak, but I just kind of like to read about them so that it keeps the idea of dieting and like health in the forefront of my mind so that I'm making healthier decisions like kind of on a subconscious level. I don't know if that makes sense, but I find that it helps me to like read or listen to like about different diets. But this one, I actually really, as I'm walking around listening to this one, I really like got what she was saying, and what she said really made sense to me. And like this diet, I don't know, it makes a lot of sense to me, so much so that I actually decided to start following it. So I went and picked up the physical copy after I had finished reading the audiobook. That way I could just, have a physical copy in order to follow while I'm on it. And I've been on it for over a week now, lost 8 pounds on it. And I don't know, I'm just feeling really good about it. It's like all about, like healthy, natural foods, eating whole foods, that sort of thing. And yeah, I definitely would recommend this if you're like wanting to kind of reset your metabolism, but you don't like I said, this works for me, and I am not necessarily a person that really believes in diets. Like I just kind of believe in like a lifestyle change and eating healthier, and this kind of like does fall into that. So I am definitely a fan of this one. So far it's working really well, and I will give you guys an update when I'm done the 28 days because this follows a 28-day plan. So we'll let you guys know how I do after that. So now we are getting into the audiobooks that I read this month, and usually I would be showing that on my tablet, but it is acting up, so I'm going to show you guys on my old phone. I'm not sure if you're going to even be able to see this because it's going to be very small. But the first audiobook that I read this month was The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, and I'll just like put that up there. Hopefully you guys can see that. But this was basically the author. She is the writer for Grey's Anatomy. So she is obviously a very busy woman, but she started noticing that she's the type of person that says no to everything, and she just doesn't really have much of a life outside of her children and her work. She just works all the time, and like anytime anything extracurricular comes up, she's always saying no, and she just kind of finds like she's more of an introverted person, and it's just in her comfort level to say no to everything and not do anything, which I am absolutely like that as well. So I'm definitely more of an introvert, and I would rather stay at home and do nothing and read my book and watch TV rather than go out and do something exciting. So, but sometimes I think it's good to challenge ourselves, and that is what this book is about. So she decides that for a year, she is going to say yes to anything that comes up, and just kind of how it changes her life. And it was definitely a really good book. I give this one a 5 out of 5. I would listen to it again. I would read the physical copy of it. I really liked how it was written. I listened to the audiobook, and the author was the one reading it, and she's very personable. I really liked her. At first, like the first little while, she kind of came off a little bit abrasive, and I wasn't sure if I liked her, but as I got into it, I really like her. So I definitely recommend this one. 5 out of 5 for this one, and it just gave me kind of a different take on how to live your life and say yes to more things. You don't always have to stay in your comfort zone. The next book that I read on audiobook was The Gratitude Diaries by Janice Kaplan. Again, not sure if you guys can see that. I'm so sorry if you can't. I know that's annoying. But this is basically another year-long journey, and the author decides that she wants to, feel more gratitude in her life. So she starts a gratitude diary. She looks at how being more thankful for everything in our life can affect your whole life, and her relationships with her children, with her husband, with her work, with everything. And this is definitely a book that I think everybody could take something from. I think that we can all be a little bit more gracious in our lives and, appreciate what we have a lot more than we really do. So this kind of like helps you to kind of think about things in a different way. And I definitely took a lot from it. So I would give this one about a 4.5 out of 5, and I would recommend it for sure. The last audiobook that I read this month was Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. And if you guys watched my blog that I posted, this was the book that I could not remember for the life of me. I talked about it several times in the blog and I could not remember what it was called. It didn't really make that big of an impression on me. It's basically about creative living and how to just like let your creative expression freely flow and how to live a more creative life. And, I'm trying to be a published author. I'm trying to write my first book. So I thought, okay, this would be like, something really interesting for me to pick up. It just didn't really do a whole lot for me, unfortunately. I don't know if I just didn't really get it or if I just wasn't really paying close enough attention while I was listening to it or what it was, because a lot of people really love this book, but I'd give it like a 2.5. Wasn't really that great in my opinion. I mean, if you're the person that read this and really took a lot away from it, that's great. Kudos to you. That's awesome. I just didn't really get a lot out of it, unfortunately. Well, you guys, that is it for the books that I read for May. And I am so happy that I got to read that many books. I am so proud of myself and I am really excited to see how many I can read this month. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys ended up reading this month and if you have read any of the same books that I read and what your thoughts on them were. I hope you guys are having an awesome day and I will see you in my next video. Bye.